All right. I think we're ready to start a video here. Let's drink some tea. And my tea today, I took all the money out of my wallet because I haven't put money in my wallet in such a long time. Like so many people, or I should say people, but businesses switched over to cashless payments during the pandemic, and cash became a lot less useful, which I'm actually pretty happy about. So I took all the money out of my wallet. And I had no idea how much I had. Like, I just, like, it's been like 2+ years since I probably put money in my wallet. It turns out I got $23. I feel pretty rich right now. Like, I haven't seen money in a really long time. So this is pretty cool. Anyway, you may be wondering why you clicked on this video. And I'm wondering that too, because we're not really going to talk about Go so much today, as we are about what Go players make, and specifically make in prize winnings. And this is inspired by the fact that the American Go Association e-journal put out a basically top players report for Japan and Korea, and I thought we'd just take a look at it and talk about it together. That sounds like a nice time, right? A little non-Go related activity. If you're here for like the nuts and bolts of Go playing, go on to the next video. I'm probably going to upload 2 videos this week, so if you don't like this one, just, I don't even think you dislike a video anymore, right? I don't know, just close your tab and go do something else with your life. Come back for the next video, we'll do some more Go. But anyway, right now, here I'm at the American Go Journal website. I'm going to skip over that because I have the report just opened. But I will put in a plug for them. If you're not a member of the AGA and you would like to have like an official nationally recognized Go ranking, and particularly if you're in the United States, please consider joining the American Go Association. You can play in all the tournaments, get all the perks, the benefits, and it's a great organization to be a part of. All right, let's click on this one. Here we go. This is the list that, it wasn't actually compiled by the AGA. The AGA is forwarding on lists that were compiled by sister organizations in Japan and Korea. But I just thought this was pretty interesting to just see what Go players actually make and, do some comparisons. So in Japan, no surprise, we have Yamayuta bringing in the big bacon and significantly, multiples more than everyone else on the top 10 list. Yamayuta has been the top player in Japan for quite a while. There are some new rising stars. Yamayuta was really the first player in I forget how many years to hold all the major titles and basically defend them. So monster player, even though, you have to keep in mind Yamayuta on the world stage has not had the same success. Like he hasn't surpassed Shin Jitsuo and Park Jung-wang and Koje and even Mi Yu-ting, like some of the other top players from the other countries. He's not the best in the world. Let's put it that way. Like he's clearly far and away the best in Japan, and the earnings reflect that. When you just keep winning all the tournaments because you're the best in your country, like you accumulate money pretty fast. This is all US dollars, by the way, so please convert it to the currency of your choice. If you can find an online calculator and get a rough estimate, if you're not familiar with the value of the US dollar. But anyway, this is a pretty good prize money. To be fair, it's this amount of money that's being given in the tournaments really hasn't risen much. I think over the last, let's say, 10 to 20 years. It's risen a little bit for sure. But at least the general tournament structure in Japan, you've had major corporations sponsoring the major title tournaments, and most of the winnings now for so many years, if you win a top tournament, most of them are between $100,000 and $500,000, and so that hasn't changed much. And I think that's just the sort of status of the game that Go as a profession at least has stayed kind of stagnant in terms of at least the Japan prize money pool. The other countries might have a different story. And also interesting to note that we don't have a published list from China, and the AGA sort of made a note that no one has published a list of China that they could find. Otherwise, they would have included it. But I'm sure it exists. It's just a matter of compiling the data and getting a hold of it all. So we're really looking at Japan and Korea. Anyway, other things to note on this list. We have 2 women making strong appearances in the top 10, Fujisawa Rina and Ueno Asami. Both are, young top pros. Ueno Asami is currently a huge phenomenon, I think. And I'm kind of fearing that the second video this week, when I record it, we'll probably take a look at one of her games. just because she is such a dynamic young player to watch that people are really excited about. Fujisawa Arena is also the other current top woman player in Japan, and both of them's coming in the 5 and 6 spot. And so that's great. Like just seeing women players high up on this list, as high as they are, is nice. Now, of course, I'd like to see the women earn more because there's still a lot of asymmetry here between the male and the female players. But I think that is being slowly eroded over time. The Korean list, you can see it's a little more equitable, like a little bit, at least for the top few spots. Then it kind of dips below the bottom spots in Japan are pretty equitable, right? These are all, I guess, I don't know, they're about the same overall. Shin Jun-seo, right? Perhaps he's gone up and down slightly, traded the number 1 spot several times now on Go ratings. Still considered to be the youngest, strongest player in the world. He, just edges out Park Jung-won, sort of the veteran favorite. I mean, we should note the ages of these players. The average age of the tournament of a strong tournament winner has decreased dramatically. So we may not have seen earnings increase that much in terms of like gross amounts, but we have seen the average age of these tournament winners come down dramatically, and that's been a big trend. Not making as much as Yamauta, but again, the Korean tournaments are, for lack of a better term, just more competitive. And so they are harder. If you add up all these numbers and all these numbers, you'll actually see they're actually pretty comparable. Like that's the total amount of prize pool between the two countries really isn't that different. And, if you are a top player in Japan, you can make a decent living. Like this is a great salary. All these are great salaries to have. Especially if you're doing something that you love. And that is a big asterisk, of course, but that's pretty cool. We do have 2 women also on the Korean side. However, they're, it's really just Choi Jung who's in the top spot between the 2 of them. But again, I think this is the trend. We're going to see more and more equity as time goes on. And so that's exciting. And so anyway, in a vacuum, maybe looking at these and going, okay, that's cool, but maybe that by itself isn't interesting. Well, I have a few other tabs here loaded to compare some of the prize money that goes into the top Go playing tournaments, and we'll compare it first. So let's look at chess. And now there should be some asterisks and caveats here. These are just prize winnings. Go players and chess players and all sorts of other games and sports make their money in various ways, between sponsorship deals and even stipends and salaries, teaching positions. There's a lot of money in coaching, especially like chess has a system of private coaching, or what do they call it? Not a real chess player, where you hire a really strong chess player to train with you. If you're like a top player, you hire a slightly weaker player to basically help you really, really sharpen your game and just practice. Anyway, on the chessboard, and again, this data is 1 year out of date compared to the Go data. It's still fascinating. Magnus Carlsen, of course, is the world famous number 1. I was actually surprised at how low the chess pool is. I thought chess and Go would be a lot more comparable. And again, this is a year out of date. From what I've read, it does seem like the 2021 numbers are significantly more than this. Internet favorite Hikaru, right, is coming in number 4th. And most of these other players, I don't know. Just say that. Like, I'm not a chess player. I don't follow chess very much. But again, when I was looking at the Go, when you go back and look at these Go salaries, or not salaries, earnings, they feel a little bit low. Like if you follow professional sports at all or so many other things, this actually isn't that much money for a top player in their field, in their game or sport of choice. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, maybe chess is more. Now, I think Magnus actually makes something closer to like a couple $1 million a year between his sponsorships and the appearances and workshops and whatever, all the other chess things he does. So this is not the majority of his income. And I suspect the same is true for the Go players. But again, I'm not living in Japan. I'm not living in Korea. I don't have those players as part of my like daily media culture, or know what they're up to on a daily basis. So I can't quite speak for that. But anyway, it's interesting to note that the bottom, if we just look at the top 10 in each of these sports games, mind games, the bottom part of each of those 10 rungs is quite comparable. Right here, if you look at Japan, we're down to around $100,000. Korea just over $100,000. And also in chess, again, we're down to about $100,000. So I thought that was more interesting. If you don't look at the top spot so much as like, the 9th, 10th, 11th best spots, the prize winnings get really comparable. And so there is a lot more equity here than I initially thought, even though, yes, the top player is literally making half as much as the top Japanese player or the top chess player. That's still just an interesting fact. Two other ways I want to compare it to, just to give you an idea of scale. When I looked at these numbers and felt kind of deflated, right, in terms of like chess and Go, like two of the pinnacles of human strategy games that are played around the world. I want to compare it to golf, and my own history with golf is pretty complex. My parents really liked golf, and I sort of rebelled from it. They tried to teach me golf as a kid, and I kind of ran away. And my brother loved golf, and so we had this like family division. It's not right. I mean, I can sort of appreciate the spirit of the game, like getting outside, getting some exercise. I love ultimate frisbee. I obviously like chasing, flying white objects, and so a golf ball isn't really that different than a frisbee, I suppose. But just look at the top. I don't know how many other players in the world of golf, and these are just prize winnings. Again, these are not sponsorships or other, any other type of deal or earnings. We're already like multiples better than either chess or Go, and you can see if we go down the top 50 spots, right, the top 50th player is making more than Magnus Carlsen in tournament winnings. And, for me, that's a little disappointing. Like I look at golf and it's kind of sad. Make one other comparison. Here's a list, and this is again 2020 data, I believe, for League of Legends. Now, I don't like League of Legends very much. I appreciate the MOBA genre. I actually really like Heroes of the Storm. I've played a lot of Heroes of the Storm, and can tell you all the ways why it's better than Dota or League of Legends as a game design. And yes, LoL players come at me. I expect my comments to be surely flooded with such inflammatory remarks. But the top 5 LoL players, do you guys still call it LoL? Is that do people do that? Number 5 is 800,000, 900,000, 900, 954, and then the legendary Faker at 1.2 million. Again, pretty comparable to chess and Go. Like I know the top 4 or 5 players here, like they're making what the top Go players make, but I'm also sort of thinking that, oh right, League of Legends is also a team sport. And so there's also just sort of more people involved. It's not an individual effort. And so, I think the fact that it's a team, right, you win along with other people. But I guess that just means that all these numbers really should be divided by 5 or multiplied by 5, because that's like more indicative of a team's winnings. So maybe it's not comparable at all. When I first looked at this list, I was like, oh yeah, like that's totally in the ballpark, right? We're within an order of magnitude, but maybe not. So you might be asking yourself, what do American pros and European pros make in their tournament winnings? And the answer is basically jack shit, like to put it bluntly. American, European pros, they're not making any sort of serious money, like barely enough to file it on their taxes from tournament winnings for the most part. They are getting most of their funding through their parent organizations and for teaching and appearances and running workshops and actually working as a Go professional, not winning tournaments. So, it's peanuts, a couple of orders of magnitude compared to the top players on this list for their tournament winnings. So anyway, I know this video is a little bit different than what we normally do. And again, this is basically just a data dump. I'm just letting you guys know, because I think it's an interesting question that I think every inspiring Go player thinks at least once, like, should I become a Go professional? And the answer is probably no. Like, if you're asking that question, the answer is probably no, you shouldn't. The people who are going to be able to answer that question in the positive and the affirmative are probably already so far along that track that they don't even ask that question. And so I know this is demoralizing to many of you, to everyone out there who's like, I'm going to become a Go professional. I am just killing your dreams. But, I'd like to think that we don't play Go for the money. Like, in the end, I'm not here because there's money. Like, I do other work for money, right? I'm here because I love it, and I hope you are too. So anyway, I hope I hope you share that same feeling and love for the game with me, and that's what's really powering you. And all these numbers don't really matter. Again, I'm still fascinated by them, but it's not what counts. So anyway, come back in the next video for some actual Go action, and see you next time.